This time on the Prep for Nothing podcast.
I'm not aiming for a high bar of quality for this one. This is like pilot to make sure this is going to sort of work. So
to ensure that there's some sort of a product afterwards.
yeah, we can iron out issues maybe later. Yeah. Hello, Dane from the future here. We recorded this pilot episode before coming up with a name for the podcast. So you'll hear us come up with a name in the episode, which is different than the official one. We have changed it to Prep for Nothing, and the audio quality is pretty bad, so I apologize. We fix it in the next episode, and hopefully it's just going to get better from there. And the length is also quite different. It's about this episode's about twice as long as the next one. So if that's concerning, we get pretty rambly in this one. Feel free to skip it if you don't like that kind of thing. Anyways, enjoy this intro music. So this is podcast. Do we? Oh wait, we don't have a name. Shit.
Untitled podcast. Does this mean we record the bumper like after the
Yeah, we can do that. Doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, we could do like the thing at the end where because I think a lot of people do that too. They record like the beginning last so they can tell people what they're about to listen to. You can tell I've listened.
Congratulations. You've embarked on a path to nothing.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Path to Nothing podcast.
Path to Nothing podcast. That's not terrible, actually. I like it. We did it live, right?
I assume since it's the pilot, an expression of what's happening needs to be.
I mean, do we know what we're doing yet?
No.
Okay.
So that's helpful. I'm pretty sure that before you
Oops.
start, you're supposed to have an idea of what's going on.
I mean, I had an idea. It doesn't mean it was a good idea. Actually, ideas are basically the first part of the podcast. The target is to, I will say, outline an encounter. I guess we can be specific and say for D&D. Is it 5th edition now? Is that actually what it's called now?
That's what the internet calls it. I think it's just Dungeons and Dragons, if you want to be super pedantic.
That's true. Yeah,
and they're pretending the other things don't exist anymore.
Yeah, they're not calling it next anymore.
No.
That's probably good. It'd be kind of awkward if it was still called next.
Yeah, Next sounds like a TV channel, so I'm glad they got rid of it.
Yeah. Right. So, what are the steps of outlining an encounter? Probably like determine. I mean, what the party is for, like party size and level. I hope people love my drawing or my writing.
It's fine. It looks very passionately artistic.
I mean, I'm trying to do it on a tablet. The problem with tablet writing is that it's always like, if you write too fast, the tablet can't keep up. So all of curves and gestures get like flattened and like weirdly compacted because it can't tell what gesture you're trying to do. Like it can't follow it fast enough. Like I don't even have an E on the word size here. Because
apparently wrote it too fast.
Apparently I wrote it too fast or skipped the letter. Who knows? Party size and level. Situation, I guess.
Situation or situation, depending.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good question. Are we allowed to swear?
I don't see why not. I mean, I
guess I should have asked, am I allowed to swear?
No, the correct question is, am I allowed to fucking swear?
Well, I'm not trying to be obstinate with you.
That's true. I should hope not, I guess, but I wouldn't blame you. Situation, I guess / location. That's similar, but
Yeah, but for writing, it's different, right? Like
yeah.
you can
Like,
have 100 different encounters that are awesome
yeah.
in the same pond. Because I'm pretty sure I've done that one of my campaigns already.
And I mean, I guess the party size level thing is only really um, the level is more important. I would definitely say level is more important here. Here, different brush, bright yellow. There we go.
Oh, pretty. So are we thinking about like also what we're populating with it, if it's the level,
Yeah,
or
that's what I was
are we
getting at
thinking more
mostly.
in
Is
terms of violent eruptions in the ground, or
mostly what I was getting at because like if you don't know what the level is, you can't necessarily come up with a decent situation location, right? Like you can't just be like, oh
mm,
yeah, there's a party of first level characters are definitely lost in the mountains, surrounded by drakes or something, right? Like that's not going to work out.
mm.
It would be
Well,
it would be interesting, but I mean, you got to have some definite some Deus Ex Machinas to get them out of
I
that.
mean, spoiler warning here for a particular uh, dragon
I mean,
royalty related
we're not
adventure.
level 1 in that adventure though, right? Like,
Wow, level one in that adventure, there's an adult blue dragon that shows up. So
mm.
there's nothing like
Oh, you're talking about
having the
not one
wild.
of the ones I'm currently playing in for you. Yeah. Oh,
There's
speaking of, we didn't. Or sorry, do you want to finish your thought?
there's a surprisingly high amount of official Wizards content that has adult dragons showing up in the first 3 levels. So
Yeah, which is kind of horseshit. Like it's called Dungeons and Dragons, sure, but I
yeah,
mean,
but it's not called immediately murdered by dragons.
yeah,
So
it's not Dungeons and Dragon Breath. You're dead now. Sorry.
if they could stop doing that in Forgotten Realms, that would really help me out.
Yeah, I mean other places too that shouldn't. That hopefully that shouldn't occur at all.
Well, the other places don't exist, Dane.
Oh right, I
Eberron,
forgot.
Eberron got a manual, and that's it. Everywhere else doesn't exist.
Yeah,
It's the Sword Coast, or it's not there.
yeah. Emmanuel does pretty good work though.
Mm.
He's a good guy. He works hard. Sorry, bad puns aside. Something you said earlier made me remember that. Yeah, we should probably introduce ourselves. So I'm Dane. I'm a frequent D&D player and sometimes DM, and I'm joined by
Some asshole who needed a ride.
checks out.
That's pretty much how we met. So,
Yeah.
my name's Chris. I'm a longtime DM, a dungeon master for 5th edition, but I've been doing that since, I don't know, 2000 something, probably
Yeah.
5, but that might be wrong.
Yeah. I think I've been playing since 2004, 2005. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much like around when I started hanging out with Dane. So,
Yeah. I mean, you weren't hanging out
uh,
with me then, but
yeah, but there was like a very short period of time before, like,
mm-hmm.
somewhere just in meeting me, then it was like, yeah, I'm gonna start running D&D by
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. I mean,
Because,
I wasn't working at a workplace that shall not be named until 2006. So
really, I
yeah.
guess, yeah, it would have been 2006 too. Yeah,
I think
so
no, I think you were even later than that because you were. I was there a
2000,
few years before you got hired. But
were you? Because I got,
were you
I
there
finished.
when like Jake and I, everybody went to BlizzCon?
I think it must have been after that.
Because that was like 2007 or 2008, I think. So
Obviously, there's an easy way to tell this.
no,
When did
we
we got to fill for content?
yeah, full for time. We haven't even gotten to the making the encounter part yet.
When did Smash Brothers Brawl come out? Because
Oh
that's
yeah,
like
yeah. I
pretty
mean,
much the genesis of our friendship, right?
yeah, you don't just know that offhand or anything.
I'll look it up
Okay.
because I don't think we were hanging out before that, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I really need this game. And then you lent me $5, and then we were friends forever afterwards.
Yeah, it's the way to start a friendship. Owing someone money.
Wait, that says 2008. That can't be right either.
I believe it. Yeah.
All right. So on my profile everywhere, I've been wrong, and I've been DMing since around probably late 2008.
Mm-hmm. I
Definitely
mean, I want to find more reasons to push that date back more, or closer, to pull it back more, just to screw with you now. But I'll let it be.
Yeah. All right.
I've definitely at least been
So,
playing since then. Did you play D&D at all before then?
I did, but I didn't really DM until we didn't get along with some people. So
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
edit that information
fine,
out.
whatever. Yeah, it's fine. You didn't say any names. It's cool.
Yeah.
People are allowed to not get along. It's not unheard of.
But yeah, I have. Should I mention the other things? They're not really important, right?
You want to plug your nonsense? I don't know. We don't have to do that right away.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
I will keep my wildly unsuccessful nonsense out of here.
It's inappropriate for me calling it nonsense. Sorry, but
No, I don't feel like that's incorrect. I'm pretty sure I called it nonsense also.
I believe it at some point. Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah, interesting terrain complications.
yeah, back to what we're trying to do. As we did introductions, we're trying to figure out what this is. Yeah, like I said before, we're trying to build an encounter, and I want to draw sort of a little map, or start to draw a map. We're using eggy.io because it's an interesting web drawing thing where we can both interact with drawing at the same time, if that becomes relevant. It's maybe not the best map drawing tool, considering one of the key features I use when drawing maps is having a grid, and so I can follow the grid, and because combat usually uses a grid, and that's really handy. But hey, without that additional feature, maybe I'll make more interesting things without that crutch, we'll say.
Well, yeah, who knows? You might not like this, or it might not be like collaborative enough, or it might be too collaborative or something. You might want to use.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, they could probably use like Discord streaming to stream my tablet to other program on my tablet, but I don't know how well that'll go either. It would be a lot more laggy than this, I would imagine. But even if it's more comfortable to draw in. But yeah. So yeah, that was kind of the idea. And then just using this as a way to make sort of interesting encounters, interesting situations, or situations, as you like.
I've been impressed by several of your maps, and I've used them. I enjoyed them. Complications are fun, and you need some of those once in a while, or it just becomes stale.
I wrote types and sizes. I meant group sizes, but yeah, whatever. Right? It's our program.
Podcast, so we need to be repetitive. We got to add level in there again.
Yeah.
It's our job to be repetitive.
Repetitive. Repetition legitimizes.
Yeah.
That's an Adam Neely joke.
Okay.
If you're unaware. About music, about how basically you just repeat yourself a lot in music because it makes it sound better.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the most successful people are the most repetitive in music.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that follows under the new rant, even though our audience hasn't heard it. You've heard that one far too many times.
Oh yeah, it's a good rant. Whatever, it's a rant. Yeah. New rant, old rant. Hit song by Professor Shy Guy.
Yeah, I should have had repetition, simplify.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a great song.
I agree.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yes, we
group
so we
sizes.
want interesting terrain. We want some terrain complications so that it's not just an open area where people run at each other, because that's pretty old
Right.
hat, classic large army strategy where you just mash your armies into each other, and then finally they realize that, hey, that's not the most effective way to have an army fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's really great to just throw it on the table, but then why
hmm
would you make a
hmm
map? If you could draw a map, you can
Yeah, yeah. Or the enemies teleport in and surround you strategy. That's classic RPG game strategy, especially. Yeah. Or was
Yeah.
I can't remember if I told you about it, but there's this podcast I listened to, Watch Out for Fireballs, another good podcast, where they were talking about Dragon Age, one of the Dragon Age games, two, I think, I don't remember. And the one guy, like, at the beginning, I remember him having this like huge rant where he was complaining about the combat and counter design, and then I like went back and listened to it to find out about it, and no, it was just like he's like, boy, do some guys sure do teleport in around you a lot. And that was apparently like the whole rant, and I was like, oh, I thought there was more to this, but it's still a really good point. Like, hey, game designers, stop just having dudes drop in around you like out of nowhere. Like, have some like continuity to your fights. And the same is true in D&D. You have to have, like, if you just have dudes drop in from the ceiling, or like unless it's like they were legitimately in the ceiling, but then it's like, well, you should probably signpost that a little bit to the players so they don't feel like they've just been ambushed for no reason. Like, that came up
Well,
several times in past encounters from modules you were running, right? Like,
yeah, modules I've been in
yeah,
recently.
I'm not trying to just call you out specifically here, Chris. This is like it's in printed adventures. Like, don't think this shit doesn't happen.
Yeah. 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 Really easily accessible adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in the first adventure, in a very accessible adventure.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, that is one of my favorites, but
Yeah, and they can be good. And if the party's there for just fights, then they probably won't care so much because it's like a different fight, right?
I think part of it is that if you have everything approached in the same way all the time, it starts to feel like everything is the same all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like one of the complaints with Fourth was like your battles either go really long because things that are like have a whole stack of HP are kind of also the things that do exciting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just makes combat go really long. And if you have a whole bunch of those in a row, it just makes fighting not fun. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's not what we want to do.
Yeah. Too much HP is even a problem in fifth edition sometimes. Although sometimes you have the other problem where things have too little HP and they just die immediately.
I've heard about a lot of DMs and they're pushing the mantra that everybody's character and backstory is connected into their world, but then they kind of ignore the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
The monsters don't really have a place, and that can be really awful because in early design days it was, hey, get some grid paper out and throw some monsters down, but it's not as engaging, right?
Yeah.
Like that. Dane made a volcano map for me, and it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen because it had like different levels and it had color, and it really added something that I hadn't planned into that encounter.
And then we proceeded to barely even have a fight in it.
Yeah, but that's also part of having your own agency in the game, right? I've been working on do they really need to fight this? Does this need to go down this way? There's a lot of published adventures where they're like, this thing happens regardless of what you do. And I'm trying to break away from that a bit.
Is it reasonable? Is it reasonable for this group of like sentient individuals to just drive themselves into this grinding flesh pit that's an adventuring party.
Yeah, and I mean, even as far as that goes, I feel like um, should put a spoiler tag, probably a spoiler
Eh,
tag. If if you're watching it, because I have a YouTube channel, uh, there is a big lobster thing or giant crustacean of some kind, and they
oh,
go
you said
to.
lobster. I heard mobster. I'm like, I don't remember any mobsters.
Hold on, I gotta write that down. That's a new campaign note.
Lobster, lobster.
Giant, yeah. Get him a pinstripe suit. Gotta write that down.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they chose not to
Good.
fight the horrific thing and solve its problem. So I mean, because you engaged with it, to me that's still a win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you were still in the area, you still did something,
Yeah.
and your choice was to not destroy the hideous beast.
Still
And
recovered the magic artifact thing that we were there for. Yeah. It wasn't like. Yeah, I mean, we probably could have. It was still like a weird monstrosity dealy, but as far as we could tell, but it wasn't like hurting anybody. Like it's alone on an abandoned island. Like there's no.
yeah,
Aside from like the dwarf that's like, oh, it killed my grandparents. Go murder it.
yeah, but even without context, your characters don't know why, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure that even though you remember that detail, I probably didn't write motivation down.
No,
I
I
would have,
well, and it was even like I think it was like they went to kill it first and they failed, so it's like, yeah, it was whose fault is this really? You run risks when you go and try and kill giant monsters, right? Like,
yeah, but the other thing is for any aspiring DMs out there that already don't know this, if you're really upset about how an encounter that you built and spent a lot of time went, just run it with another party.
yeah, yeah, or try and figure out like what went wrong, right? Like what, um, like I can't tell you. There were so many times after, even during the Curse of Strahd campaign that I was in, and then afterwards especially, where our DM like was trying to run like a single large boss monster that he thought was like really cool, and like there was one like because this isn't a spoiler for Curse of Strahd because this is all afterwards stuff, extra stuff he had added on. He like found somebody that did a like made an Iron Man monster, or like
Neat.
Iron Man as a boss monster, air quotes, I guess. Is Iron Man a monster? Who knows? So he's like, oh, he wanted to run this guy, and that encounter wasn't too bad, but there was a lot of other encounters like that where he found one big like high CR boss thing and threw it at us, and we just like ripped it to shreds because our party is like three insanely high DPS characters and my bard who would basically cast one or two spells that completely bricked encounters.
Yeah.
Mostly blindness.
Mm. So I mean that's something you don't know, and it's pretty easy to say, oh, I didn't like how that came out.
Yeah, yeah. But like,
If they run it for a different person, they're probably or a different group of people, they're probably going to have a different.
yeah. Well, the other thing I was gonna get at was like, hey, if you keep doing the same thing and you keep having the same problem, like, there's probably a reason why. Like throwing a single pile of hit points at our group was clearly a mistake, right? Like clearly that wasn't going to work, basically ever. One of the more interesting fights that we did have was like a dragon and a mummy lord at the same time, just because they were doing like two completely different things. And I think my character actually wasn't in that encounter because I was in like the previous room, still trying to do something else. So like just having like more stuff going on, like both having the situation of how we got into that situation, like why my character was separated and what I was trying to accomplish was like way more interesting than just, oh hey, you walked into a room and there's a dragon and a mummy lord, go kill them now. So, anyways, that's enough telling you about my campaign nonsense. We should probably
I'm
get to what we're.
definitely sure they're here for the nonsense, but let's move on to different nonsense.
Yeah. So yeah, we should probably get to what we're trying to do here. So, in one of the one campaign I've been running recently, I've been like just there's a lot of exploration, I guess, and I've been rolling like random tables to generate encounters and all that kind of thing, which is pretty fun, and you get some interesting results. So, I think we could probably do something like that to get us started. We could also like roll for what level we want to hit. I assume party size is going to be like normal 4 or 5 people party size, unless we probably don't need to go to a weird party size for the first episode 0 of this, right?
Yeah, I feel like I've run really large parties in the past, but really 3 to 5 is kind of where you want to keep it.
And I don't mind 3. I've run a lot of games with just 3 players. I generally find it's harder to run really strong things, because like one really strong thing can like do a lot of damage to one character, and then if one character goes down, one player character, you're gonna have that death spiral way sooner. But and your 3 players need to be like very competent and need to be doing fairly efficient things very often. But more telling you about my campaign. Hooray! I think I told Chris about this already, but I'm doing or he knows about this because he's actually playing in it. Rather, I don't know if yeah, I think I mentioned it last session at the end of last session, right? The chart that I was rolling on.
Yeah, you mentioned the chart.
Okay.
Is that gonna result in a map? Making a map for that? Well, I unfortunately see the future.
We don't have to make, or I don't have to make a map specifically for that, but I was just gonna throw the chart up on the screen for a second, just so that people can see my random table. So we're in the Eberron for that game. We're in the Eberron world, and we're in the Demon Waste, which is sort of to like the northwest of the usual like Sharn territory that's in the middle of the continent. So way to the northwest, there's the Demon Waste, which I haven't really found a lot of information about. I assume it's like wasteland, tundra. It's kind of in the north, so I think it's kind of like frosty sometimes. But so I'm like having a little bit of a trouble getting inspired with what like terrain should actually be around the players, especially since the one player is a druid. Like what are you guys actually coming across? Like, is this just Icelandic wasteland or whatever, or what is this? Or like northern Canada wasteland, but with volcanic activity, like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to do some of those hexagonal salt columns because that'll make for really horrible drawing.
Oh, basalt columns. Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
Basalt?
Would I want to basalt? Yeah, I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to words.
Don't worry, I'm sure someone will. We'll put a corrections in the next episode.
I said all of them. I think we covered all the pronunciations. Basalt, basalt. We'll get one of them right? Then they can't complain.
Well, I've seen a lot of those pages that have the proper pronunciation guides. They're now geographic rather than one strict answer. So they've started like adding other people's accents into it, which I think is both hilarious and damning at the same time. So I'm gonna guess it's probably about 46 variations, because a lot of those words, like I know Bahamut is a real wedge for people. Apparently, it's originally from Tagalog as Bahamut.
Bahamut.
But
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I don't know how, because I don't know if they have any dragons in their spirituality.
Speaking of weird pronunciations, I'm gonna rag on my brother-in-law for a second, Matt, and he pronounces tome, like the book, a book tome. He pronounces it as tomb.
Oh,
Yeah. I bugged him about it the one day, and he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I only ever read it, right? He's never heard it pronounced before. He's ever read it." So I was like, "Okay, that's a pretty good reason, but still,
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
why."
I know a lot of people on Team Terrescue, and I really, really hate that pronunciation.
If they're standing in line, do they also call it a QUE?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm part American, but somehow Terrescue seems very
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
very American to me. Like how I drive a Sportage. Apparently, the moment I cross into
Sportage.
the
Yeah.
U.S. border, and then in Canada, 20% of people correct me when I say Sportage, and then I go to the dealership and they're like, "Yeah, it's Sportage." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So
Whatever.
it's important that I can use my car as a canoe.
Indeed. Yeah. You can
Portage.
portage your sportage. Portage your sportage.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm very distracting. I'm not helping us keep on the rails at
That's
all.
cool. Oh, you can't
All
even
right.
see my thing. I've snipped. Oh, hey, I can snip it. That's what I can do. Snip. Go. Snipping powers. Yes. Allow for access clipboard. Haha.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's the table, and I highlighted the sort of important one that comes up a lot, and actually, I'll have to do more snipping also. Um, Comes up a lot and makes for really interesting situations for exploration. Like, because generally, if you're exploring, you don't just want to be like, oh yeah, you came across roll on a table and be like, oh, 3 gnolls standing in the wilderness doing nothing, right? Uh, so that the monument and weird locale table is just in the Dungeon Master Guide, and it's only like two tables that are D20 each. But I find like generally starting with one of those, if I hit that kind of thing in the random encounter roll, makes for very interesting situations.
Hmm.
The one time we got an anti-magic field, and then I like rolled a random size for how big it should be. I think I rolled a D100 and I got a 1, which made me mad. Because I'm like, okay, I guess this is like a 1-foot anti-magic field. I don't know how you're even noticing it's there. I like nearly gave the party a sphere of annihilation just cause.
They just happen to drop their keys and can't find them again.
Yeah. So rolling on those, and especially you can roll and like look at both tables, like 1d20 roll, look at both tables, see what you get, that kind of thing. Let's do that.
I don't know if you want to put that on there.
It's in the book.
It is in the book.
Because it's in the book. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You don't want to be DMCA'd, right?
They can't DMCA me for that. Maybe they can. I don't know. I can edit it out afterwards. My phone's going off because Brave New Phase is starting. Or will be starting in like 15 minutes. That's fine. I'll have to cut that out, I guess. Or I can just plug Kathleen's music show on twitch.tv/Kathleen_LRR, I think. Does a weird music show once a week.
This is the nothing but plug show.
Yeah, definitely.
Everything.
Hey, we can plug
We
the
consume
D&D.
a great deal of media.
We can plug the Dungeon Master's Guidebook. Go buy that. It's really helpful for DMing. There's lots of stuff
like
in
some
it.
ad money, please.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull more tables from Xanathar's Guide later because there's a bunch of tables in there for leveled monsters. Well, not really. They're kind of terrible tables, but you can roll like random encounters on them based for the different level bands, and generally it's like, okay, that's not actually reasonable for my group. You have to like tweak the numbers a bit or something, but It's good. It's also good for inspiration. Yeah. Oh, I did a level roll. I did just like a D10 earlier for level, and I got a 6. Does that sound acceptable?
All right. Do we have any rules on what are official sources here? Are we looking at the monster manual for level 6-ish stuff?
I assume so. I assume we can just do monster manual stuff. If we want, we can come up with our own monsters, I guess. But
I don't know if that's a good idea for the first episode.
yeah, and we've already wasted quite a lot of time ranting about other shit, so we probably don't have time to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure when I get around to prepping my home brew, I will have all sorts of nonsense to workshop.
Yeah, I don't remember when we actually started the air quotes podcast section, but my recording's already like 44 minutes in, so
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give up at 1 o'clock at one of our times, right?
Yeah.
One of our time zone.
So that's another hour and 43 minutes we got. I think we can finish an encounter in that time. Yeah. when I was originally brainstorming this podcast, I was thinking we could do stuff in like an hour maybe. I like hour-long podcasts. Like, I don't know. I'll listen to the odd 3-hour podcast. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, hopefully there'll be some stuff to trim.
Yeah,
and,
I was expecting to do way more drawing by this point, also. But
all right, we're thinking about the
level 6
demon waste. Was it?
We don't have to. It can be anywhere.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah, the demon waste. Yeah, that's Eberron. We could pick somewhere else.
That's probably fine.
Okay.
You've kind of been leaning towards that.
Yeah.
So.
I did also roll on the other my table, and I did not roll in the 41 to 60 range. I got an 82, which is random encounter players advantage roll, which basically means I roll twice on a random encounter table, and then I sort of like make a easier encounter out of that, as opposed to trying to make a more difficult encounter out of that, which is the DM advantage roll. Or at least, or you can look at it as just like an encounter where the players have an advantage. Like, but generally, I just do that by rolling twice and seeing what I get on the table. I don't actually remember if there's like a. I guess I have to open up the Xanathar's Guide now to look at. Like I said, I was gonna do. Yeah, the problem is that Xanathar's Guide doesn't actually have like a demon waste encounter table. Here, I'll just do more snipping. Why not, right? Let's snip more stuff. This is my bookmarks, so this is definitely fine to be in here. That's the list of the encounter tables that are in the Xanathar's Guide. And you'll notice that there isn't really a good one for demon wastes. So it's been an adventure trying to figure out what the heck to roll on.
Well, let's assume that there is at least one demon. Because it says demon waste.
Yeah, we could. I mean, that's the easy call. I've actually managed to like have very few demon encounters so far, or fiend encounters. There's been Cyclopses. There's been 2 Cyclopses, both in the sense that the first encounter had 2 Cyclopses, and then there was another encounter where I also rolled Cyclops. But then I said, F that, we're not doing Cyclopses 2 sessions in a row. So I had a dead Cyclops instead.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So around that boundary, if you want to run a bunch of something, there's a Dretch. Or if you want to run less of something, there's a Shadow Demon at challenge level 4.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can do
everything else is probably a mistake.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if it's actually a feature of the Shadow Demon, but I have been using that as like a possession thing, where it's like you have something possessed by a Shadow Demon, so you like kill it, and then a Shadow Demon pops up. Usually, that Shadow Demon just runs away because I assume that anything that's possessing something else is a coward. But I mean, that can also lead to like a fun 2-stage encounter where the party kills like the strong. Like you can make like an obviously strong, or you can make it like a support character or something that the party wants to kill first in a group, and then you kill them, and then a Shadow Demon pops out. And now you have to deal with a Shadow Demon. in addition to whatever else is still there.
Okay. So that's our complication right there, right? We got a monster complication.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's a something, and now there's
I'm gonna,
also a shadow demon.
yeah.
So if we're assuming it's waste.
Yeah. Oh, and to call this out in case people listening or watching this is wondering, I'm doing all the drawing and stuff on the screen. Chris isn't doing anything because his wrist is bothering him because some carpal tunnel nonsense. So I'm doing all the.
Not contributing in any way.
I heard you flipping through a book, so you're doing something. I'm doing all the heavy mouse lifting though. That's concerned.
Yeah, I messed up my wrist, so I won't be typing or doing a whole lot of drawing today.
I did that a few weeks ago, so much sympathy. It's pretty brutal. Yeah. Or a few weeks. Was it like before Christmas? I don't remember. Yeah.
So are you gonna conjure up your challenge tool?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So this is a Google sheet that I made that does math. Hooray, math. So we got party level 6 players. What do we want to do? 5 or 4? Let's do 5 because if we're having a shadow demon, it's probably slightly harder. Like just because of the shadow demon, it might be slightly harder. For the time, I'm not going to include the shadow demon in the CR calc right now because if it's sort of if it gets separated, like if the party does it after the other encounter or if they ignore it, then there's kind of it kind of counts as 2 separate encounters. So actually I can so you can't really like completely include it. And it's flagged as easy right now, even with 4 players. I'm sure it's probably still easy. Yeah. So you can maybe even
not directly adventure connected. Like, are we doing a wandering monster kind of thing? Because like it's okay to have 2 of those kind of into each other if it's like, hey, this is what happens.
Yeah, that's true. If it's in the middle of exploration, then the party is going to be fully refreshed. And I was even going to see how many shadow demons is reasonable for a group of 5 players because you could have like a bunch of dudes that are possessed by shadow demons. 4 seems like too many.
Okay.
Okay, 3 is hard. 3 says it's a hard encounter. So that's probably like 3 monsters that are possessed by shadow demons. Maybe a few like minion monsters, or like there's going to be like an initial grouping of monsters that are possessed by these things. Let's do. I guess desert's not too bad. There's desert and there's coast. There's a lot of coast in the Demon Waste also. So coastal encounters might be a decent roll also. Go back to roll 20 and do another Demon Hunter roll for the encounter, I guess. 13 for desert encounters. I got 1 mummy. That's maybe not great. Coastal. What do we got for coastal? 3d6 Sahagwin.
Oh,
that actually kind of works, right?
Yeah.
Sahagwin Barons, Priestess.
263.
That's Monster Manual. Yep, 263. Yeah, this tool, by the way, if you're thinking of building one yourself, it's a lot of data entry if you actually want all the monsters included. I would recommend trying to build one, but you can just go with the CRs. Like I also just have the CRs in here. You just punch in a number. And that's all you really need if you just want it to do the math for you. Also, I think there's a ton of online tools now also that just do this for you. So don't feel like there's any really benefit to trying to make your own spreadsheet about it. It's a lot of work. Sahagwin is a half CR. That's maybe too light. But what's the Baron is CR5 and the Priestess is CR2. So for level 6, like 1 Baron, a couple Priestesses, and then maybe some other mooks. It said 3d6 of them for the actual roll on the table. I did not type that in properly. I got 10 for 3d6, which is actually average, right? Maybe just like 3 priestesses. Like you could have 3 priestesses possessed by demons, and then just a bunch of Soglin, right?
Yeah, probably.
Are they like weak or strong against fire or anything? We're concerned about.
No,
like
they do multi attacks, and the priestesses have some magic spells.
okay.
Oh, I would probably caution against 3 of the priestess since they have mass healing word.
Mass healing word isn't that strong actually. It's a D. It's because it's healing word, right? So it's a D4 plus their stat at level 3.
Hmm.
I know because I
Right.
took it and it's kind of shitty.
But it can. Is it the one that does 6 targets though?
Yeah.
Will they be able to resurrect their entire army with?
Yeah, but
Since they only have 22 HP.
yeah, but versus fireballs, like if it's like, I actually don't for level 6s. I don't even feel that bad if they're like, hey, I drop a fireball, kill like 4 dudes, half health, a couple more dudes, and the priestess heals them. Whatever. That's not. I don't like because 22 HP. If they fail their save to a fireball, they're dead.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if there's a lot of them, they're just gonna all die from fireball.
Yeah. So, looking at the mobs by CR thing, I guess you can't see it. I should be sharing my screen on Discord so you can see it. I thought about doing that.
That's okay.
You don't see it? Okay. So 3 priestesses, which are CR2, and then 7 more regular Soglin. It says it's a hard encounter. Just over hard. For 5 level 6s, which seems about right. I think it would go pretty fast. Also, if the priestesses do start healing, that's basically what we wanted with the demons, right? We basically wanted the players to like focus on the demons or focus on the priestess so that the demons come out, and then the demons are also in the fight now, right? Because you're complicating it pretty interestingly.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I'm gonna pop back to, or maybe I can snip it. I can definitely snip it. Let's put it on a different layer. That's the stats, so you can see it. I'm gonna invisible that. They're all medium creatures, so I assume they can all like swim and stuff. Do we want this to be like in the water, like along the coast? I assume it would be along the coast at least.
So here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
With the Sahagwin priestess, Sahagwin can only be within 4 hours travel of the water.
Right.
But if you are right on the coast,
mm-hmm.
The shadow demons have disadvantage in bright light.
Right, in daylight, yeah.
So you might want to do like a cove, or maybe something that's near the water, possibly while raining.
Yeah.
Having like some sort of a structure, right?
Yeah, that definitely makes
something for the shadow demon to hide behind.
Yeah, and that makes a much more interesting encounter than, okay, you're on a beach. There's some rocks.
Yeah. Like if it is on a beach, you're gonna have to put like a hut and some other thing around it in order to make that encounter interesting.
Yeah.
Because the shadow demons are gonna come out and they're gonna have nothing to work with.
Yeah. So definitely like some kind of cave where, like maybe it's some sort of cave that's leading down to the water or leading away from the water, like because you can kind of run either way depending on how you want the players to encounter this. It doesn't really matter which direction they're heading. And then like these guys are either just in the way or maybe they're guarding something even, right? Like
sorry, it just suddenly makes me want to do a sea cave and drowning because I've unfortunately seen that in a TV show.
yeah, you could definitely
recent memory.
Yeah. Well, actually, that makes me think because you could have tides if you're on the sea. So you could have a situation where the players go into a cave, and then they realize the tide's coming in, and so they're going to get stopped from leaving if they don't escape fast enough. And then you could have these the Sogwin jump them and prevent them from leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, they could probably just run by them, but this is D&D. They're gonna fight them. You know, they're gonna fight them.
Yeah, like 80% odds.
Yeah, yeah. And if they don't fight them or think that they're gonna like talk their way past, well, the priestesses are being controlled by shadow demons. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's extra horrible. That's a great complication.
Yeah,
Hey, there's also shadow demons and rising water.
yeah, yeah. Because that can be our terrain complication too. Is that there's you could even have like a river or not a river, I guess, because this is doesn't make sense. But you could have a water inlet that the players have to escape out of. But if you have water coming in because of the tide, there could be like resistant, and it could be really hard to actually get past the water, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe it's still draining, but it's just slowing down their progress, right?
yeah. It doesn't have to be super fast. It can just be like when they. I guess that can depend, like how, um, as a DM, like when depending on how much the party like dawdles around will sort of determine how fast the water is coming in and how much time they have left to escape. Yeah. If they spent a whole lot of time trying to do something in the cave, and then you can be like, well, you know, you were warned like an hour ago that that the tide was coming in. You didn't try and leave right away, so you got to deal with it now.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably they don't. Maybe they don't know what the like. If they get trapped in the cave, maybe it's just they're trapped in the cave overnight. It might not be that they completely drowned. If there's like a, yeah, because it could just get their exit could just get blocked, right?
Yeah, it could be tall, but
Yeah. So
no, they either got to swim against current or they got to stay in there.
yeah. So there's definitely some like there's a lot of flex there for what like the failure condition would be at the end of that. I was gonna write more on the thing. Terrain complications, tide coming in, exclamation mark, because everything needs an exclamation mark. Now I'll remove it. Situation, location, coastal cave with water. We got a monster type groups and sizes. That basically covers all the things that we needed.
Yeah.
Cool.
So just need some map.
Need some map. Now the fun part. And this might, if we kind of start to fade as far as like conversation goes, this can definitely get edited down, and we can sort of jam the map part further into the episode so that like maybe as far as like what's on the screen could mostly be map speed draw or partial speed draw. I might pull this into actual art program and touch it up later, and I think I'll try and record that also, and we can drop that in at some point, or just have it as like a second speed draw video or something.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff might end up just being like, I don't know, like a text sidebar on the video or something.
Yeah, yeah.
They might not need to see this text as long.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it doesn't need to sit here so long. Yeah. Although, yeah, I guess you hadn't seen it. A lot of it was, or a decent chunk of it was like the encounter builder when I was playing with that.
Yeah.
Although I guess I was just punching in like Sagwan a bunch of times. So.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, gonna blank
out
that.
One of us will fix it later.
Yeah, okay, we need some coast. Is this map okay? Probably want to go the long way.
Yeah, I guess the question is what kind of coastline you want. It's probably relation to the map.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't. I was gonna do cave interior, right? Because we don't need the coast itself.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay.
Let's start with the rough sketch thing. I definitely have an opening here somewhere. I don't know why. I guess it makes sense for the party to be moving to the right of the screen because we're in North America. That's the way we read. So to the right generally feels like progress. That's a movie trope thing. If you're not aware, If you want characters in movies or whatever to feel like they're moving forward, you have them moving towards the right of the screen. I don't know that it comes up in D&D a whole lot. Kind of makes sense though.
Is that why all the side-scrolling games go to the right?
Yeah, the same reason. Yeah, it's because you read to the right. If like movement, forward movement on a 2D screen feels like to the right is correct. If you have sometimes like some shows will use movement to the left as like just to feel more jarring, like a Dutch angle type situation. Like it just feels more awkward. Yeah, so that's why I was like to the right, and this is like the first time I've actually like considered this in the context of D&D. So who knows? Who knows if it's functional or not? I mean, we could just do big blobby cave section, maybe multiple paths coming in, maybe some side rooms that the Sogwin can be hiding out in. I don't know.
Well, if they're a priestess, I assume there'd be some sort of like a circle or.
Yeah, I'm just drawing like a big blob cave. I guess it could be like more of a functional room. What would be?
Or like, it could be like an MLM, because that's pretty evil, right? There'd be like 3 people up at the front talking, and then a group of them behind.
A what? An ammo? Oh, multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like, the hell does MLM stand for?
You got at least one person talking, one person who has a few good bullet points, and then a person who's just there for hype.
Sorry, this program is awkward. Oh, I guess so. This shouldn't be. So we said it was going to be like a incoming stream situation. So this should be basically all water because we want it to be like full, right? Actually, we might have to do like a couple layers of this where there's like a low water level layer and then a higher one. So I kind of assume that like most of the room would be full of water if it's coming in pretty heavily at this point.
I would figure you'd probably start like at a low.
Yeah.
Low thing, and then if the DM like feels like there's a need for more intensity,
right?
Switch to the other one.
You move it up a little bit. Yeah, and this could be like shallow water too, right? So it could just be like you don't necessarily need to swim, but it could be difficult to rain at this point. I want to erase some of this gray because this should be like a more, or it would be more interesting if it was like a really functional kind of room situation. Need a larger brush. Will this help? Nope. How do I make the eraser larger? As I mentioned earlier, I've not used this program before, which is eggy.io, which lets you aggie.io. Lets multiple people.
You can probably see that the URL at the top, right?
Hey, maybe, I don't know. Maybe if they're watching the video and not just listening to this as a podcast. That's me covering my ass. Okay, let's do. I'm going to erase some more of this. Oh no. Let me deselect. Why doesn't escape let me deselect?
So is this a situation where something paint.net or?
I mean, it's just being used to one program and then trying to learn a new program is just rough, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so what do we want in this room? What do we want? We want like an altar maybe? Let's do it like this. Altar.
I think we got to think about like what would a Sahagwin use?
Mm-hmm.
We got
like because this is I guess I was thinking that this was just like a random cave, but I guess it's totally fine if it's like a functional space. That's definitely more interesting.
Well, if it's a random area, I mean, it might not be. I mean, there's a tendency for me to just turn this into an adventure because I kind of hate overland maps.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But if there's like 3 priestesses, there's probably a something, but it might be.
Yeah, that's true. I guess there's 3 priestesses here. Yeah. So
what would they have? They probably wouldn't have a whole lot of fancy stuff because they're not going into like Sahagwin collective. But if there's 3 priestesses, would they be there for a?
I guess.
Am I thinking about it too hard?
Maybe.
I might be thinking about it too hard.
I mean, like the initial like overland exploration thing that I mentioned earlier in the podcast, like where I roll on the table to. That's generally just like I just want like a mini dungeon, pick a couple rooms or like a thing that the group bumps into, just to sort of like break up the, oh, you did 3 days of travel and nothing happened.
Hey, just because I did that last Sunday.
We did stuff though, right? And that was a pre-written module again, but like there was a table to roll on. You had, because it was a huge caravan, you had stuff going on in the caravan rather than the party gets distracted by a thing happening, which makes more sense even because it's like a moving town. So you have like stuff in the moving town going on. The party can't really like bugger off from the moving town and get back to it reasonably fast.
Yeah. I tried to insert some extra drama in there because it might have been a boring 21 days, but
Yeah. I think it was working. Like, I liked it. I think I don't need to give you a whole shit ton of feedback on the podcast right now. That's maybe inappropriate. Anyways,
moving on.
Yeah. Back to what we were doing.
Over there is the thing we're doing. Yeah.
Look, a duck. Yeah. So there's an altar. There's a duck.
They have a duck. They're eating the duck.
Okay.
Do Sahagwans eat duck?
Duck dinner. Yeah.
Oh, they could be roasting a duck. There we go.
Full course.
Royal banquet.
Banquet duck. How do you spell banquet?
Banquet.
I had already written it. That makes me think you're not paying attention to the drawing thing anymore.
Well, there's no N in there.
Shut up. Why don't you just say add an N? You missed an N. Now I'm embarrassed. Rightfully. How did I miss an N? Come on. Jeez.
I don't know.
Hey, you try and handwrite live. Nobody even handwrites anymore. It's all typing.
Yeah. I mean, technically, if it's a booth, you could add an extra T and an E at the end of that, I think. That would be a banquet table.
What?
An upholstered bench along the wall.
Banquet? Is that what you said?
Yeah. All right. I assume for Sahagwan it's just like an uncomfortable rock seat, but we can give them a really long, uncomfortable rock seat.
Yeah.
These chairs have coral.
Yeah.
So they can bring blood.
Oh, okay. Running back to the completely overthinking this relatively simple encounter. This full course banquet. I'm thinking. I was like, oh, so clearly because the tide's coming in, they've finished it already. So it's like the end of a full course banquet. But then I was like, well, but what if they haven't? Why would they be setting up a full course banquet as the tide's coming in? You want to know what I came up with?
Sure. I'm ready for the pun.
Oh, it's not a pun. Sorry. It's just cool. It's an offering to the giant sea kraken.
Yeah. There we go.
Which the party won't know about at all, possibly until they get out of the cave. Or if they get trapped in the cave. Actually, there you go. There's your stakes for getting trapped in the cave. Sea kraken's going to eat you.
Yeah. So we're actually writing a full adventure today?
I guess. That's... I mean...
Not gonna lie, I kind of want to play this adventure now.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm not upset. I'm actually pretty happy that this is spiraling out of control. That's what I like.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
This is how I should get my book written.
Yeah, we'll leave the rest of the we'll leave the sea kraken and the rest of the adventure up to the listener as an exercise. It's homework.
I can put something together with this. It'll just get lifted. It'll be like, yeah, this is now in Haberspath.
Yeah. Definitely keep it. Don't publish it. Yeah, this is a Haberspath trailer now.
Yeah. Remember, I'm not in it for the money. I just want people to have good games.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we got
enjoy it. Get some friends together and have some fun. Damn it.
Yeah, damn it, indeed. So this is our full course banquet table, which I assume is 10 feet by 20. No, that's not long enough.
10-foot wide table.
Yeah, it's for a sea kraken. It's also a big stone slab. I assume that they just like carved this out of the existing rock or something. Even though the tides and water erosion would destroy this like immediately.
I feel like they'd be into that. Like all those people who buy those old fucking barn doors and try and make furniture out of it.
Yeah. Okay, so
it'd be like, this is the natural state of water, fucking up our table.
Yeah, so if I get creative enough with the final drawing, I'm gonna like really like round off the front of this table to show off the water erosion.
Yeah.
Now it just looks like a dong.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
It's fine. This is D&D. Someone's definitely gonna notice, but they're gonna have a good time. Unfortunately, someone's probably also gonna have the Kraken in there, and then it's gonna create a whole bunch of more inappropriate jokes. But that's just inescapable.
We're at like 11 or 12 squares. That's what I was writing those drawing those lines for.
Okay.
I'm not making it ribbed for the Kraken's pleasure.
Okay.
So what is that in 5 foot? That's 60 feet. So that's 60 feet. Okay, just so I can like draw this better. That's adequately huge.
So I got a title for the pilot episode.
Adequately huge.
60-foot offering.
60-foot offering. Nice. Yeah. So I'm thinking there's like this weird shaped raised platform that this thing's on, and then around that is deeper water, or like slightly
Can't
deeper
have
water.
stairs there to look like it's vibrating.
You don't want just weird topographical layers all the way down. Yeah. No, this just looks messy now. Definitely the front's gonna be deeper. I think that seems reasonable. And then maybe like weird talon shaped like this. So I think this section is all very deep. And then we have like some shallower bits around here maybe.
Okay.
Maybe out a little wider.
And then where do you see the priestesses at the table?
I'm thinking like even a slightly narrower ledge.
Okay.
And then I guess wherever the party's coming in. Where's the party coming in? From the left or from the top? I don't know. Is this just like a single tunnel, or like I guess it could like go up. Like there could be a room above. Oh, that makes it like really easy for them to just crawl in there and hide. Though I was thinking this was like a passageway type of situation, but I guess it can just be.
So if the water is coming in, they need to be coming in from a lower point and coming up, right?
Yeah, or a higher point, but not much higher, right? Like it could be higher if they like fell into it almost.
Yeah.
Or if whatever's higher up is also in danger. Because if it was lower, it would be full of water already, right? Unless it had a way to drain.
Yeah, and then that takes away what we're doing. Yeah. So I guess it'd have to be from a cave.
Yeah, I could see a situation where there's like there's like a slightly lower section that when the tide goes out again, it like drains slowly, like just like porous rock or something. But I don't know. I think that works from like a D&D bullshit standpoint. But if you think about that, it's like, no, there's no way that could drain fast enough. Right?
Yeah.
Although, like, I think that works. Like, hey, you guys have to go into this thing in the afternoon towards the evening before the tide comes back in so that it's drained so you can do a thing. Because if you go in earlier in the day, it's still full of water. But, like, it's slowly draining. This is continuing the vast complication of how much of this is an encounter. So I'm thinking like so it could be just like a tunnel downwards. This is my tunnel downwards drawing.
Okay.
I would guess it's just like a slope. It doesn't have to be super deep. It's just like it could probably be like a ridge at the back. Like maybe because that would just get like washed away, wouldn't it? If like I was gonna say they could maybe like build up some rocks or something along the back. Not the party, the Sagwan.
Yeah, perhaps.
It could definitely be like a ridge of some kind. Yeah, do we want like a short wall or like a ridge at the back here or something? Or is it just going down? Like I could see like
I suppose down sort of like a little retaining wall made out of rocks, cobblestone.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking initially too, but then I was thinking like wouldn't the tide coming in every day just like wash that away really quickly?
And probably want like maybe a couple of speleothems in there, or like some sort of a pillory thing.
Some cave stuff.
Shadow.
Some cave stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that, but also shadow demon.
Yeah. I guess they could have some like lamps set up and stuff too. Although they would just get wrecked and take them down every day. The whole tide thing is making this difficult to draw anything with.
I mean, technically, this could be a dark room because they all have pretty good dark vision.
Yeah. I'm going to change the shape of this, slightly change the shape. This is going to be like the low wall situation. And then, we'll say that they, for whatever reason, the Sagwan like brick up or make like a weird cobblestone wall across here, just so that the down area doesn't drain as fast. I might just like make it longer, make it go up higher before it drops down first, instead of it being almost flat and immediately draining.
Yeah.
Okay, now water. So this section is definitely all deep water, no matter when the players get here, I guess. And then just like, I guess it's just like athletics checks to swim against the current or whatever.
I guess I would probably go with depth. Like if it's at its current depth, maybe it's difficult terrain kind of, or like it
Yeah.
slows you down a bit. And then,
Well, I would think that like the deep section you're swimming regardless, right? Like it's
okay. Fair.
but definitely like these. I'm gonna thicken this up so I can do paint bucket. Just don't want to have any open nonsense.
Yeah.
No, that's just a bad line. Okay, switch paint bucket. Wow, that's terrible.
Why did it do that?
Because it doesn't
There
have
like a fuzzy edge.
Yeah, there's a fuzzy edge because the brush I'm using doesn't have. It might not have overfill settings. Fill, rest, clear. What are these options? Tolerance. Nope. Well, that almost worked. All right, I guess I have to manually fix.
Well, at least it's not a whole bunch of lines.
Yeah, we're just gonna leave the word deep there because it's funny.
Okay.
Yeah, I might have to start next time. I might draw with a hard edge brush, or just use Clip Studio Paint, which is what I usually draw in, and just do screen share.
Yeah.
These weird pointy bits on this part, I figure, is because of the erosion. Like as the tide's coming in, it's breaking and wearing away these weird rounded grooves faster.
Okay.
We can do like a light blue color maybe for in here, and that can be like shallow water. Like this I was thinking would be like the difficult terrain section if the party gets here early enough where it hasn't really started filling in yet again.
Does this have some sort of mixing or get rid of that?
Or get rid of the lines? Probably not. There's like a tolerance setting, but color opacity. Oh, there's a smart option. Nope.
That didn't seem very smart.
Yeah. Opacity? Opacity's a little bit better. That's closer. That's less terrible. Let's try smart again. That's not bad. It's messy, but it's not bad. All right. I think I just have to turn the tolerance down, and because I had the blue on there already. And then I'm thinking like if they're stuck here way too long, then definitely like it becomes deeper. Probably the first time they're through this room, if they come through here earlier, depending on how you want to or how the adventure gets run, it would be low enough that the water probably isn't. The light blue water probably isn't difficult terrain, but then like definitely like as the water's coming in, it's filling up and getting deeper, it becomes difficult terrain, and then if they take way too long, it's just like they have to swim.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, this room is looking probably way too huge, given that's a 60-foot table. But I guess if you're trying to
6 squares,
60 foot is 10 squares,
12 squares,
10, 12 squares. Yeah, I guess it should be 70 foot if it's 12 squares, but 60, 65, yeah. Because of the weird rounded end, it kind of isn't precise. Oh, my gray is gone. My dropper.
Yeah, 60 foot would be 12 squares long, right? So.
Oh, yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah. Why did I not math that correctly? Damn it.
I don't know. It's very rare that I get to bring that up.
Yeah.
You don't make too many of those.
Mm-hmm. At what point does this not look like a dong?
I don't think there is a point.
Yeah.
That might be okay.
I might just have to make it more square and not make it cool and weathered.
So the standard D&D piece of cardboard is 12 squares long.
D&D piece of cardboard? What?
Yeah. So they do like the 1 foot, kind of like their maximum for a tile. They'll do like 4x4 and a 4x8 together, and then maybe do that again. I know there's like the 11x7, but they kind of are 11 by not 14. What's the regular size for a sheet of paper? 11 by
8.5 by 11? 11 by 17? Yeah. Then you get the double wide. That's 11 by 17 is the double wide. Yeah.
It's a little bit big for a sheet of chart paper. So that's usually about 3 feet to 3 feet by 4 feet.
Yeah, I mean, because like you don't have to, because I have a lot of the incoming cave here, technically you could cut that off and do it smaller.
Yeah, that's probably the fix.
Yeah. And maybe this table doesn't need to be 10 feet wide. That would also be a fix. What I'm going to do is... I can do that on my computer, I guess, because I can snip this drawing. More snipping. I can save the snip and upload it to Roll20, and we can play with positions of monsters for where everybody's sitting. Because you had said that you had asked where all the priestesses were standing and stuff like that. And then we can see if we need anything else in the room.
Okay.
I spelled banquet this time. This might be the point where I have to share my screen on Roll20 so you can see it.
I assume you created a different game to host that and show it.
Oh, actually, no. It's in Phoenix Zenith, so you can just log into that and check if you want. I can drag party over to appropriate room. I guess that's easier than figuring that out.
Okay.
Now the fun time of figuring out how big to make this thing. Advanced drawing.
I would probably set the grid to be like black or orange or something.
Yeah, it's on top of the grid right now. So I'm just trying to make it bigger first. Figure out the.
Still on that token there.
I can move it to map layer. There we go. Actually, it's almost. So I just gotta make it double twice as big again. Set dimension. Thought I was gonna have to like do something fancy. Okay. And change the damn page size. There's like 40 wide.
Said I was gonna paint when we were doing this.
And you haven't yet?
No.
Nice. Do we have any Sagwin minis though? There's a question. How do you spell Sagwin again? I don't remember. Shahugan.
S-A-H-A.
It's a rhetorical question, and apparently I put a G instead of an H.
Also, I was wrong. It's S-H or S-A-H-U-A-G-I-N.
Well, there's 3 premium assets that are like perfect, but or at least one. There's a priestess. There's a bunch of hatchlings and a hunter. Is there just a murloc?
Pay for them.
Yeah. Can we just get ourselves a murloc? This search feature is kind of junky.
I think this is the part where we ask people to donate to our Patreon in order to buy it.
Yeah. Certainly. If we had one of those, this would be a perfect time to drop an ad break in while I try and navigate. I mean, I could just go do the usual and just cut out of the D&D book and make tokens out of that, but that takes a few
Just
minutes.
do what I usually do when I'm lazy and look up the Super Mario question mark block and just put them.
Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna have 2 of these.
Because remember, if it's from 2 different IPs, they can't both copyright strike you.
That's true. Yeah. Somebody named Mercurio on Dungeon. Oh, Dungeon. It's really hard. Dungini? Yeah, I guess that's how you say it.
Dungini.
Yeah. We're stealing their art.
Yeah.
I could probably do a really bad drawing of one of these, but hey, whatever. I guess we could do like a quick doodle and Roll20 for something instead of just stealing art.
Yeah, we sure could.
We sure could. Can I alter the properties so that you can play with these also? Details. Controlled by. I'm just going to set it to all players. This is going to be priestess.
What is that?
I don't know. It's like a red murloc. You can't see the nameplate anyways. Nameplate. It's also tiny. Okay. It's also twice as big as it should be. It's a little wider than the drawing was supposed to be also. So that's definitely also part of the problem. I guess the normal ones don't need names. We just need the priestess. All right, and then we need 3 of those. Copy, paste, and then 7 of these. Paste. 1 more. Paste. All right, I think you should be able to move them around if you want to. If I did the player controls correctly.
Yeah, looks like it.
Cool.
Would they be all knights of the round kind of thing, or they're all
at the table? Yeah, I don't know. I could see the pieces being spread out like that, or maybe the other way, where one is right at the cave entrance and the other 2 are at the back, just based on the way that the table is shaped, sort of.
The oldest and crustiest priest just at the head of the table.
Yeah, doing like facing the cave and doing a thing. Yeah. I mean, I assume they would all be facing that direction, so the party is now sneaking up on them from behind, which is probably acceptable considering how much the the party's kind of getting screwed in this situation.
Yeah, there's definitely quite a few complications there.
Yeah, I'm gonna spread them out a lot just because basically. That's still.
I mean, it's in the dark. There's a possibility of drowning.
Yeah, they have to escape within a certain time. Escaping's even hard. There's going to be more shadow demons later. So potentially, if the party's being quiet enough, they might
Get them around.
Yeah, they might get a surprise round. I could see like the water coming in being like a little bit loud, or like the noise from the shore being kind of loud. Maybe the priestesses are doing like a chant or something too.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So you could see a situation where the party has some warning of what they're walking up to and can
Get them while they're still monologuing.
Yeah. Definitely. And can get a jump. What are the other Sogwin doing, I guess? Just would they be like pretending to eat at the table? I assume that they were just spread out. But I was kind of spreading them out because I was going to do a fireball. I was going to do a fireball shape just to see what.
Fortunately, when you asked what they're doing, the only thing I heard in my head was the lyrics to After Party by The Lonely Island.
What's the. It's 20-foot radius sphere, isn't it, right? Or.
For Fireball?
Yeah.
You'd think I would know by now, but.
I feel like it is. I'm going to attempt to do a shape. What is
it?
It
surprisingly doesn't come up very often in my games, and I don't know why.
Because you don't run games higher than 5th level. Oh, sick burn.
I suppose that would be where it's true. Although I guess it hasn't been in a long time.
So the way they're spread out, I mean, that is one argument for the very large table, is to just not make sure the players can't decimate most of the dudes at the same time. Because, like, okay, they can get like 6 guys in a fireball blast the way they're laid out right now.
Yeah.
What was I didn't actually look up the priestess.
It's like 33 HP, I think.
For the priestess? Really? It's way lower for the priestess?
Yeah.
Oh, I would
it's not great.
I would probably bump that up a bit, just so that they don't get fireballed to death. I mean, that's kind of what we want, but regulars have 22, priestesses have 33. Yeah. What are this might be the starting to make custom monsters point. What are the shadow demon statistics? There it is. Okay. Like bookmarks. Why can't I read? 66 hit points, resistant to a bunch of things. So, I mean, the demons are resistant to fire, so you could argue that the priestesses should be resistant to fire. I don't think that would. Shadow demons are immune to lightning. So you could drop their resistances onto the priestess. Probably wouldn't change the CR by a whole lot. It would maybe bump them up to a 3. Or you could just kick their health up a bit more, because the 33 health is the 8th CR range or quarter CR range. Let's go back to spreadsheet where I also have a monster builder. 12 AC, which is very low. I guess because the thing here is they're supposed to have they can cast a bunch of spells. I guess you're also supposed to fight these guys like underwater. So you could definitely have them. I guess we'd have to write more of or draw another battle map, which is right outside the cave for the situation where the Sogwins retreat out the cave and then just also ambush the party outside the cave as they're trying to escape the cave. Because that also seems like a reasonable thing to do. Like, that's reasonably intelligent, right?
Well, I mean, it sounds like a thing that can happen naturally.
Yeah.
But,
like, I think if you have a situation where actually, the way they're laid out right now, also, like, 4 or 5 of them are in a line, so they could get easily lightning bolted. Like, I was worried about the fireball. The lightning bolt is also a bad time here. So you may want to stagger these dudes a little bit more. Like, shimmying them around a little bit doesn't hugely change how many you can hit with the fireball. I might even draw the sort of center DS thing a little bit larger so that they can spread out a bit more. I guess they could just be standing in the water too, right? Like, there's no reason why some of these guys can't just be in the water.
Yeah, they enjoy water.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Actually, you could have some of them in the deep water too.
Yeah,
they can swim.
Yeah, I would assume they wouldn't be in there because I'm imagining like at some point, because they're doing the ritual for like the Kraken, at some point they probably need to retreat into the cave to not also be eaten by the kraken.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and they don't mind the being in the cave because when the water comes in, they can still breathe underwater and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That or they do the ritual quickly and then they leave, like they go out to sea. Although going out to sea also seems bad because again, kraken. I assume they just retreat back into the cave. Yeah. But if the party's pushing them out, I can see them, especially if they like wipe out a bunch of them really quickly. I can see especially the priestesses leaving. Are the regular Stockmen smart? No, they're all about the same. They're all about average, slightly higher wisdom. So yeah, I forgot they could just stand in the water. So that makes this not so bad. Does that basically wrap up the situation, the encounter that we built? Do we need to do more? I guess we need to do more. I don't know. I need to actually finish drawing this map because this map kind of sucks right now.
Well, yeah, there's some details. How granular do you get coloring the rest of it and stuff?
Yeah.
Do we want to have the complete map while we're still talking, or do we want to just like have the concept and then, hey, here's an uploaded, pretty finished map? Not even do that. Just be like, this is how far we got.
I think that my original idea.
Make it nice yourself.
Yeah, my original idea was that I would just draw as much as I can in the time that we were doing this, but like this one especially, I think I spent a lot more time not drawing, and like I've complained a little bit already, this is maybe not my ideal drawing program, so I would probably elect to use a different program next time, and then in that case we might just stick with whatever we end up at the end.
Okay.
I can clean up the lines a bit, add more texture in, like actual textures for like the water and the rocks. Draw like the actual banquet that's laid out on the table. I suppose there's a case where this is like a clear option for ritual sacrifice. Also, do we feel like they would do that? What are they? They're lawful evil, so maybe.
I think because they're lawful evil, it's probably more likely.
Yeah, I mean lawful though. Kind of like I could definitely see them doing.
You have to remember, lawful is an interpretation of their law.
Yeah.
You know, stand your ground is legal in some places of the U.S., but you wouldn't really get away with that in Canada.
Yeah, because this is like a ritualistic thing. That's their what do you call it?
Their law.
Their culture is their culture, their laws. It seems pretty reasonable that they would be doing this ritual and even have some kind of sacrifice. How they go about acquiring said sacrifice is maybe a different question, because that would maybe fall under more chaotic if they're like raiding and stealing people for that. Assuming this is a people situation. But I guess that would depend on like how often they do this ritual thing, right?
Well, it just comes down to culture, right?
Yeah.
You have to keep in mind that it's also Middle Ages time. It's not not modern times, which sometimes it's hard to distinguish. But there are definitely things that were not okay now that were fine.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just thinking like going and kidnapping someone, even if it's like something like that just feels more chaotic, more on the chaotic side rather than the lawful side. So like that's what I mean. Like how they acquire said sacrifice could be more complicated than them just going and kidnapping people.
Fair.
Right. I'm just saying, like, hey, this isn't necessarily your standard trope. Princess was kidnapped or whatever situation. That could be like, well, maybe they went and bought a slave, right? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of different ways that information could be inserted.
Yeah,
I guess that's like world dependent, and the DM's probably at the mercy of figuring that one out.
Definitely, yeah.
Drop in thing.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like what else could they be sacrificing. I think like the banquet in general would be a big sacrifice. Maybe just like large fish, like large catches, because it's just like here's an offering of just like a lot of food. That might even just be enough from their perspective. Because like I got you, what's the equivalent? If you're the Kraken, do you want a cracker of caviar or a full course dinner that doesn't have anything like fancy or exotic in it? maybe not a full course dinner, maybe like, a nice home cooked dinner, right? There's nothing fancy, nothing exotic. It's just like your standard reliable food, or like one really small portion of something expensive and exotic.
I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, okay.
So if you're praying to a water god,
Mm-hmm.
krakens don't tend to really be methodical and thinkers. So
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to appreciate the richness. And with the 60-foot table, I
yeah,
think kind of quantity or quality.
yeah. That's definitely what I was
As to
thinking
what
too. Yeah.
the quality is. Again, that's kind of more
Yeah,
limited to the world,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I would assume.
I mean, there's also the por qué no los dos, right? There's the why not both, but
Yeah.
but yeah,
Uh,
I guess that's also like a DM thing where it's like, hey, maybe you don't want a ritualistic sacrifice in your game. Maybe you just don't want that complication in there. So it's like,
yeah,
hey,
like if you're running it in a game store,
yeah, or
might
with
not want that though.
like younger people or whatever, right? Like, yeah, maybe somebody in your group has been kidnapped before, and that's going to be kind of traumatic to them.
Yeah, any X card scenario, you got
Yeah,
to be mindful of that. So I guess that's going to be a DM interpretation thing.
yeah, we got some options here. Yeah,
Read your room. Always read your room. If
yeah,
people seem very upset,
yeah.
maybe
Don't
find
read
another
the
way to clean up
room.
the table.
Yeah, don't read the room. I'm sure the book adaptation of the movie The Room is terrible, so don't read that. But read your room.
Yeah, know the people at your table and
Yeah,
see, hey, did you have fun? And when somebody says, hey, that thing that you mentioned about this, write that down somewhere
yeah.
because it
Yeah.
might come up again.
Yeah, I think it's also fair if you're a player, not a DM. This is probably way more work than I would put into this situation already. Like,
You
like,
knew that risk when I signed on, right?
yeah,
You're like,
yeah. I'm
hey,
just
this is
saying.
going to make this into a way deeper thing than it needs to be.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also just saying, like, hey, if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, these guys are like diving way too deep into this and thinking about this too much. This sounds like way too much work for what was initially just supposed to be like a little side encounter, random encounter dealy, which I think we've turned it into almost like a module at this point, rather than
Yeah.
that. But to each their own, I guess. But yeah, this like when I was talking about rolling on tables for random encounters, I would not have thought this much about it because a lot of that stuff happens in the moment. I can't spend 2 hours, thinking and working through how to make this into an encounter at the table when I'm trying to run. I'm trying to improv games, and I think this is already more prep work than I do for a lot of the games I run.
This is probably less than I do for a lot of the games that I run.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, hey, it varies. Like, don't use this as the benchmark for how much work you have to do to build an encounter. And like the thing I was doing before, where I was like worried about fireballs and stuff, that was mostly just because these monsters are weak and they can get wiped out very quickly, right? Because they're half CR. Most of them are half CR or CR2. Because it's a level 6 encounter, all of these monsters are fairly weak for level 6 players and like borderline shouldn't be part of the encounter. I would even say, but I think the core encounter here is supposed to be these priestesses that are possessed by shadow demons, which we've almost completely forgotten about at this point.
I haven't forgotten. They
Okay.
just pop out of the white icons you got in there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like, ha 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 ha. You thought that was going to go fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Complicated.
It's
the gotcha.
Yeah,
It's always got to be a DM gotcha.
Yeah, I think that like we've definitely been distracted from that original idea a little bit. Like this is probably more reasonable. Actually, I can go back to the mobs by CR sheet and just say like, hey, what if this was a level 4 party instead? Yeah, it's definitely a deadly encounter, but if we knock out half the Sogwins, there's only like 6 or 7, probably 6. Yeah, now this party level 4 This is like without the demon nonsense. This is still a like really interesting hard encounter for a level 4 party, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they'd even probably drop a priestess for level 4s. Maybe just do 2 priestesses, and then you could have another Sogwin or 2. Yeah, it's like 2 priestesses, 5 Sogwin. Regular Sogwin is on here. It says it's over deadly, but if you have a strong group that works well together, I don't think they're gonna have a problem with that. Especially
Do you have a
since
bunch of martial classes only?
yeah, yeah.
Problematic.
Like if and level 4 is like the weird point where they all got a feat, but they haven't gotten like their second attack things yet. So like you can have some really strong level 4 characters, definitely. Like if this gets bumped up to 5, how I have it here, it drops down to medium because that 4 to 5 level jump is like a pretty big XP jump. As for like the budget for encounter building, that's why it's like such a big swing there. And because again, like level 5 is when you get Fireball, Lightning Bolt. Martial classes get their second attacks. So it's like, yeah, if this is level 5 party, they're going to chew through these guys. Same with the level 6 one. That's why we ended up at like 6 priestesses and 7 dudes.
Yeah.
Like even adding a priestess back in at level 5, it's still only hard. It doesn't jump up to deadly till creature count. Hey, what's going on now? It still says hard. Oh no, I guess that was correct. Yeah. So yeah, even what we planned out is still pretty good for a level 5 or 6 party because the level difference is not super huge there. Yeah, level 4 you probably want to drop the creature count down a fair bit. One less priestess, maybe skip the demon part. That's largely going to depend on how the group operates, though. Like if they're a strong party, they might chew through it fast, anyways. And because there's so many smaller guys, if the group has like AoE spells like Shatter, stuff like that, where they can catch 2 or 3 dudes, they're gonna eat through them pretty quick, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So beyond, I assume beyond 6, this is probably not even a challenge though. Like I wouldn't really want to run it with any higher level characters. I would definitely have to maybe just like doing the thing with the Shadow Demons where their resistances apply to the priestesses also, just so that they're more survivable, and then probably using a stronger monster for the regular Sogwin as like a base, right? You probably want a CR1 even in there, just so that they can last a bit longer. Yeah, that campaign that I mentioned, the one after the Curse of Strahd game, or the DM kept throwing single monsters at us. There was one fight where he threw like a dozen guys all at the same time. Actually, there was more than one. But yeah, because we had 3 players that could throw fireballs or fireball equivalent spells, the large groups still kind of got decimated pretty quickly. So that's definitely something to watch out for. Yeah. Okay, I think we're pretty good as far as. Did you have any final points? I think I rambled a fair bit there.
Not really.
I don't know how I guess we didn't really establish the like wrapping up stage. Did we get all our ideas in? Let's see. Turn this back on. Totally readable. Oh, you can't see it in the recording anyways because I'm not on the Agio page anymore. We got. Oh, and you can't see it either. So I guess if you have Agio open still, you can.
Yeah, still it open.
Can I move this above my drawing so that you can read it? Not really.
You just need to hide the drawing, right?
I guess I could hide the drawing. Oh, I moved the wrong layer also. That would help. Could also hide the drawing. We got cave tide monsters. That seems to work pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that wraps up our objectives there for that.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah.
I think we
actually, the thing we kind of completely missed that's maybe more obvious, if you're willing to do the sacrifice method for the like sentient being sacrifice, whatever you want to call it, a good source for that would be because of the shadow demons, right? Because the shadow demons are possessing the priestesses, as like, well, the shadow demons are chaotic evil. They would definitely be up for a sacrifice, even if for like no reason.
Yeah, and I mean they're priestesses, so they've got a rank. So So
Yeah,
mind controlling that makes sense.
yeah. And maybe maybe the shadow demons are trying to like change the ritual so that the ritual is more about like summoning more demons or infecting the giant kraken with demons or getting the other Sogwin possessed by demons, that kind of thing, right? So there's definitely some layers to work with. I just thought of that at the end there. Sorry, I had to throw that in. Just looking at the notes again. Yep.
I mean, we could talk about how it goes off the rails. What happens if your party
Oh yeah.
happens to be there, has a swim speed, or a fly speed, or Sahagwin?
Yeah. Or want to talk to the Sogwin. I mean, I think we established talking to Sogwin is not going to work because there's shadow demons involved.
Yeah.
You're not like the priestesses are in control of the group. You're not talking to the priestesses. You're talking to shadow demons essentially, and you generally don't negotiate with or the shadow demons generally don't negotiate with players. I mean, I assume they could, I guess, but also if some jackass in your party's like, yeah, shadow demons don't have the ability to possess things, just throw them out. I don't know.
Be like, well, in this campaign they do.
Yeah,
Surprise.
it's like, yeah. Maybe there's another demon that I'm not aware of that can do that. I think you just mentioned that there was shadow demons was like a reasonable CR. If you have like
Yeah.
you can even do like, hey, this one shadow or this one priestess of the group is possessed by even more powerful demon, right? Like you could have like a CR 7 or 8. I mean, 7 or 8 is beyond the character level, so you got to be a little careful with what they're doing. Like maybe they're gonna not fight the party to the death. Maybe they're gonna bail when they get exposed.
Or maybe just not take an interest in the party.
Yeah.
If the party gets beaten up and then leaves, they don't pursue. Or
Yeah. And like again, like because of if you have a strong party, they could probably still take out a CR7 or CR8. But because there's all the other complications of this encounter, it might be a little overwhelming. But yeah, if there's like another demon that you think is appropriate that could possess these guys, great. Or ladies, priestesses. One could be priest. Who knows? Yeah. Like if that works with something you're doing in your counter or whatever. Yeah. I'm like scrolling through the demons right now, and I don't actually see one that does like a possessed thing. But I'd probably have to do like a Google or something to really figure that out. I'm sure somebody's done that.
most likely.
Yeah. You could do the demon summoning variant too, where just look at the monster manual. Shadow Demon's not on there anyways, so whatever. But like we said, like maybe they're trying to change the ritual so that it is a demon in summoning. So maybe they could summon if the party just because you mentioned what if the party just like avoids the encounter or like neutralizes it with swim speed or whatever effects, teleportation, right? Like they could get out of there quickly if they wanted to. So you could have a consequence where the demons succeed and like summon a larger demon, and now that demon's running around, and the party's like sort of responsible for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be another encounter jumping off point.
Yeah. I think I just like completely sidetracked your point earlier because you were talking about what if they mess up the thing.
I mean, if you have a flying member of the party, you want to make sure they stay invested.
Yeah.
Sacrifice something they care about.
Yeah.
Person, plant, animal, luxury jewelry item.
Yeah. Well, and in this case, they're like.
For the motivations.
Yeah. If like one or two players have like fly speeds or swim speeds, I guess it's still interesting if they just like bail on the party and leave everybody to die. But like you might have a bigger problem where they're not like, okay, now you have a split party and one of those two groups is probably going to keep playing and the other ones aren't. You might have some conflict there, or even just from a character standpoint, right? Where your characters might, if a couple characters get left behind, they might get murdered. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, that certainly happened in a couple of games I've played in where people were not able to keep up with the monk speed or flying tiefling or flying Aarakocra. And then things went sideways. Or, you have a centaur because they really just can't navigate a lot of different terrain problems.
Yeah. Well, and if that one player gets out and and leaves the rest of the party, and the rest of the party also gets out, I think you got to like talk to that one player and be like, "Hey, do you think your character would actually come back to the party and like apologize and try and like what would they do? Maybe they would just leave, right? Even just out of like shame for bailing on their friends, right? Like so maybe you can
There's
just
people
like
that I've spent months with. I just kind of left them to die.
yeah, like I don't think and if for some reason that player thinks that it's totally cool to just go back, you could also talk to the rest of the group and say, "Hey, do you even want this character back? Not the player specifically, but like the character. This character just like left your other characters to die, and now they're trying to come
If
back to
they
you
got
and have
out,
you." Yeah,
is my bad enough? And
yeah,
I have a feeling I know how that's going to go based on real life experience.
yeah, exactly. So it's like I think there, if you have a situation where one character gets out of here, you're gonna have some interesting follow up sessions where it's like, hey, what does this mean now? Is that player that escaped now like a villain or something, or does the party just want to hunt them down for payback? Right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's some interesting situations there. I think we definitely developed a very interesting situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a multi-layer bean dip of misery. So
Yeah.
I think,
And it's not even that extreme, I think, right? Like this is definitely overcomable, but you might have a case where stuff falls apart a bit. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the tabletop equivalent of a controller throw is, but I think that there's definitely the potential for it in this encounter, which
Yeah, yeah,
is good. This
yeah.
mini adventure, this
Mm-hmm.
excursion
Yeah. And
that's
you,
longer than a lot of the excursion.
yeah, yeah. And you asked the question earlier about like what happens if the players can sort of like bypass this encounter or like semi nullify it. I don't even think that's even entirely that bad, right? Like if they just want to rip through it. But it might be worth asking the other question of like, okay, what if they just fail, right? Like, what if they can't escape the cave and they're trapped in here? Like, are we just saying that they're dead? Like, is there a secret back door that they haven't found? Maybe there's an air vent straight up from this room or from another room. They can sort of go in that way and try and climb out, or get like flushed, geyser style, flushed out of it upwards by the incoming tide.
Yeah,
So like this isn't necessarily like a death trap either if players can't push through it.
there's things you could do.
Yeah. Maybe the Sogwin just like stop them and then capture them. If you don't crack that demon priestess egg and let the shadow demon out, maybe the Sogwin just capture them and they pull them out of the cave and they're like, hey, we know you were effing with our shit. Don't do that anymore. We're gonna have some sort of arbitrary punishment, but bugger off. Because they're evil, but they're still sort of lawful, right? Like you get some sort of legal, like it seems reasonable to even do like a legal ramification from their perspective, right? Like maybe they are like, hey, you owe us
You
now.
have to party with the Gungan.
Yeah, you owe us now because we saved you, right, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've decided you're not impressive enough to be an offering to the Kraken.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If they're doing the offering thing too, right? Like they might not be doing the human offering, humanoid offering. Sometimes it's pretty interesting when the players do manage to fail. They could be like, "Hey, go get us." You tried to steal our or mess with whatever was in the basement there in the cellar. It's like, so we need you to go recover something else to pay us back. We're gonna curse you. I don't know. The priestesses, they could do something, right?
Communicate you from the church.
Yeah.
I'm not part of the church.
We're gonna curse you with the curse of fish gills. You can only breathe underwater now. Underwater adventure.
That's insidious. Yeah, if you want to just like completely derail where you were going with your campaign.
Yeah. Now you have to go run a bunch of quests for the Sogwin so they remove your curse, and and you can go back on land.
That would definitely have a much better chance of happening in your games than mine.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would actually have a lower chance of happening because I don't think that the party would fail at the encounter. I'm pretty soft on encounters usually, so I don't generally not generally gonna overpower the players too much, unless they like seriously screwed up or like I forgot that the priestesses had some cool move that just wrecked them. I would probably just have like the demons run away or something if they were getting in trouble. Although I suppose at that point they could still fail to get out of the cave because of the tides. What do they got? Last detect magic guiding bolt. Oh, they have hold person. That's pretty strong. And spiritual weapon. I mean, they can't do hold person and spiritual weapon at the same time, but I mean, you do have the opportunity where you could have 3 hold persons at the same time, resulting in a lot of crits and a lot of players that are unable to run away. I guess that's your solution for swim speed or fly speed in this case, is they're just like, oh, you're gonna run away? You're paralyzed now.
Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds like
I should have looked at that earlier. That's only a spell save DC of 12, though. They can get out of that a round or 2 at max, at most. Those wisdom.
Probably get out of that.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some people do some real bad wisdom saves, specifically the barbarian, but I think a 12 is pretty doable because it's like, it's still in the like 50-50 range of a d20, right? It's not like a 15 or a 17 or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I would definitely say if you have a small group though, like if you're running that like 3 to 4 player group, you might want to not have them spam a whole person. Because even
you can shut down the whole party.
Yeah, losing one or two players per turn. Losing your turn sucks a lot in D&D, especially when you're outnumbered. So
yeah,
I think that's like a reasonable, like, hey, if somebody runs up to one of the priestesses, hold person response is probably a reasonable response.
Sit here and let me monologue.
Yeah, and then that could let them retreat also, right? Like,
yeah. Oh man, that would be terrible. I wonder if I can make spells to like enforce monologues. Just like a level 7 spell, and all it does is make the entire party listen to the monologue before they have a chance to act.
Like a mass hold person or something, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's almost like a variant of time stop where you can still hear or something like that. Like you could do a telepathic monologue where you can't tell who is monologuing.
Tasha's horrible monologue.
Yeah.
One of the focuses you have to have is a whiteboard.
Yeah. I was thinking a megaphone, but the whiteboard makes sense. I guess D&D, that's a slate and chalk, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a spell components that you don't necessarily see the connection right away. It's like a large piece of slate and chalk. Why? Oh, they're doing a presentation, right?
One that people realize it's just really groan worthy.
Yeah.
Thereafter.
Yeah. I think those are some of the best spell components, but yeah, since they're pretty arbitrary anyway.
Yeah, indeed they are.
Although I think that's even like a more interesting variant of a spell component because that's something that a player might already have for some reason.
Yeah.
Like I think most spell components are like you're probably not going to have this unless you need it for the spell.
Yeah, like I hear people commonly say that one of the spell components for Fireball is guano.
Yeah.
Like, how do you have that on hand?
Yeah, yeah.
How does anyone have that on hand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the Goodberry spell. I was looking at that the other day. The spell component is it's either mistletoe or holly. I don't remember. I think it might be mistletoe. And it's like that's a super not common. Like it couldn't just be like some berries or like some seeds or something. It's like no, it's like a really specific thing.
I think back in the day, ivy was a lot more prominent than it is now.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where that idea came from. But like it has to be cheap because it's part of a Christmas decoration, right?
Yeah. Did I post that video about mistletoe in the Discord?
No, I don't think so. Oh, actually, you might have, and I just didn't watch it.
All right. Yeah. Apparently, mistletoe is a parasitic plant.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty funny. And it's not, the berries aren't even edible. They're like poisonous or something to humans.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that that part makes it more of a concern.
Yeah.
Should be like Oregon grape or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that's technically edible, but nobody does for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're little white berries. If anyone is not around an area that has those in the wild.
Yeah. Oh, also the mistletoe that was in the video at least was also white berries. It wasn't like the red that you see.
So yeah, you knew enough to put Oregon grape in the picture. Cool.
Yeah.
Feel free to change those in your world if you're not doing an organized play because
Yeah.
that's just some real bad advice. That's like those orange berries on the trees that like murder everything but birds, or just poinsettias. Poinsettia is another plant of death,
Mm.
and they grow really fast too. So you can. This is not details I should be sharing on
Nope.
the podcast. Moving on.
So you can poison someone? Is that where you're going? Yeah, I was thinking, like, man, our conversation's really spiraling away from what we were doing. I think that's a pretty clear sign that we should wrap this up now.
Yeah.
If not, cut out a bunch of this and just skip right to the wrap up point.
Yeah, we don't really need to include murder, and
I mean, some murder. It's a D&D game podcast, so there's gonna be
maybe
some
not
murder.
an effective homebrew solution for mass murder is probably cut out.
Yeah, it's like acquiring poison in D&D is so much work and so expensive when it's like, it wouldn't be that hard. It's just not like really effective combat poison, right? Like
Yeah, but in actual fact, you just basically have to wait around until Christmas in Canada.
Yeah, and arguably, speaking of combat poison, you don't even want poison, you want venom, right? Because I hit you with my sword or my dagger and get my venom into your blood, which is how venom works, versus poison, which is generally ingested, right?
Yeah.
I assume getting poison in your blood is still bad, but
Well, it's still in your body, but who knows, like, the efficacy, right?
yeah.
Varies wildly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, I mean, even poisons are different from person to person, too.
Indeed.
That's why I think they make it so difficult in D&D to acquire those and know what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think, well, in D&D, it's mostly just like a balance issue, where it's like if you could just stack more buffs on your sword or your dagger or whatever, right? Like why, if it was cheap, wouldn't everybody just do it in your party, not just the rogue?
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think that wraps up our encounter build. If you have any questions, you can I don't know, Twitter me. I'm at Dane is lazy. That's probably the only way to get a hold of me that's reasonable. I don't pay a lot of attention to it, but it's Twitter, so I'm always doom scrolling.
Yeah, I am also on there as Greatsword Adventures, but I think it just comes up as at Greatsword
ADV.
ADV.
Yeah. I was gonna say you should change that, but I don't know. I don't know why. I was just thinking, like, I probably wouldn't have done that because it's just too long. Doesn't mean you need to change it.
Yeah, I don't log into Twitter enough for that to be a meaningful avenue to reach me, but maybe if there's things there, I can.
I mean, we'll see it eventually. That's the point, right? Yeah. We don't have a website yet. I assume this is going up on one of our YouTube channels, which means if you found it there, you already know where you are, so we don't need to tell you. And if it's going up on any podcast platform, I have no idea what that is yet. So, yeah.
I shut down my Podbean, so
yeah. Yeah.
No information there.
Yeah, maybe a Google Play or a whatever else. Google Podcast? Is that just what it's called? Who knows?
I think it's just called Podcasts on the Android phone.
Yeah,
it's a Google thing.
Well, what you're using to find it, yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of services. We'll figure something out. If it's worth, I don't know if it's worth just listening to without the video. Probably. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on in the video, anyways. We didn't really describe the map we drew very well, which I guess we could have if we wanted to make this more podcastable.
Yeah, well,
map I drew, whatever. Yeah. I mean, this is a pilot. We're screwing around, so who knows? So plug in. You mentioned you had a YouTube channel where you have occasionally uploaded a thing.
Where I used to upload my YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah.
Great Sword Adventures.
There's some D&D games on there, some live play. I'm in them.
Yep, they've been referenced.
I don't know if
They're in there.
I don't know if that's a good thing. It's up to you to decide if that's a good thing or not.
Well, if they've listened to us this long without disconnecting.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah, I think they're stuck now.
Yeah,
Trapped.
They're stuck with us.
Trapped in some sort of sub hell. We were playing your Haverspeth game, which is your own campaign world.
Yeah, my
Chris's own campaign world, homebrew campaign world. Yeah. Do you want to tease that at all?
I actually don't know what I'm doing with that right now. I may have an adventure module that will be available for download soon.
Yeah.
But due to some scheduling conflicts, I have some people who are not going to be available for several more months. So I may have a different YouTube upload on there.
Yeah, some of the regulars in that campaign are not available for a while. Babies.
Yep.
I mean,
I don't know if we should include that data.
Yeah, I guess I assume it's singular baby, not plural babies. But they didn't say they were having twins, so.
That's what everyone needs for their first children is 2 of them.
Yeah, yeah. My sister managed to dodge that. She got it on the second and third, though. Or as the second and third. Yeah, that's probably more.
I'm hoping that was to a total of 3 children, not a total of 5 children.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking just now. Like, did I just imply that there was twins twice? Yeah. No, just second and third.
First time it's a happy accident. The second time it's it's a vasectomy.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a happy accident too, because I believe my sister wanted 3 kids and her husband only wanted 2, so she kind of won. Just by default, like, although all 3 of their kids are boys, so there's a little bit of like, oh, maybe we want a girl also going on, right? Although I haven't actually asked if what their opinion on that is. Maybe they're like, no, too many kids already.
Yeah, a lot of that going around.
Yeah.
No comment.
Too many kids. Hey, people used to have way more kids. Yeah, I mean,
You're gonna look back on this in 8 months and think that's an incredibly funny comment.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is this is just running back into D&D conversations again. We still haven't closed out podcast yet, I don't think.
Thank you for our podcast.
Yeah.
Support us on Patreon that doesn't exist.
I mean, what I was gonna say is D&D related.
Buy my cereal.
Buy my cereal. Email me money because I asked for it. Buy my merch. We don't have merch yet. Should we get merch? Do we have anything to merch? I don't think at this point we have anything to merch unless you count this bad map I drew.
Nope, joke's not coming.
It's over.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah, I think. Strong bad references. Whatever. I was gonna say, what do we have a schedule? What is time? What is the schedule? Yeah. I mean, it would be awesome to do this every week, but I feel like that might be way too much work. Oh no, we said 1:00 and it's 13 minutes past 1. And I didn't even think we were going to get to 1:00.
I did.
Oh.
I knew we were going to get to 1:00.
All right. I guess our schedule is we'll record the next one after I finished editing this one. Because if I don't get around to actually editing this, recording another one's not going to help.
Yeah, we'll have to see how long that takes and uploading it and finding a platform for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything to do tomorrow so far, but usually my Sunday is very full, not very empty.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I think we probably shoot for like a monthly.
Yeah, I would like at least. I think at least monthly would be good. I think we could do more often if we. I mean, presumably we'll be able to go faster in the future also, and not be almost 3 hours.
Well, I hear podcasts go longer the longer you run it. people like to hear their own voice or something. But
Oh,
we'll see. I mean, I had my podcast down to 15 minutes, so
hmm.
who knows?
Yeah. I don't think I can draw a map that fast.
No, you just like fast forward, scribbling
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. I think I probably drew this one pretty fast, but I mean it's not good. I mean I would probably still use this to run an adventure, but like it would be because I don't feel like drawing it more detailed. I probably wouldn't draw the or leave the 60 feet comment in there. But
Yeah, is this gonna be a downloadable map?
yeah, I can add it to the. We might have to have a website at some point, I suppose. So we'll see.
Do you want me to make an adventure out of it?
You don't have to. I think like the idea was like we could do this pretty often, and I think the original like I said at the beginning, my original well, it wasn't really the beginning. It was already like 40 minutes in. My original thinking was this would be like hour to hour and a half, and we almost explicitly wouldn't produce an adventure, or was it? Actually, I don't remember what my original idea was. We could put the map up.
I think the original idea just involved doing the drawing.
Yeah, it was mostly the drawing, I guess. Yeah. I think there was an idea before that maybe didn't involve the drawing, but did involve producing something more. But I mean, it's like, I think we kind of went over everything that's necessary for the combat, I suppose, like for the encounter. As a singular encounter, I don't think you need a lot of information. We definitely went over all that. You would mostly just need the map.
Yeah.
If you want, if you want to, if it's totally up to you if you want to do like the full Kraken adventure thing that we were joking about earlier. But I mean, that could be next episode also. We could expand. Like we implied that there was another room. There might be something Kraken related when the party gets outside. I implied that there should also be a second map that's outside the cave in case the priestesses and other Sogwin retreat out to the cave entrance. So we could do more next time, or we could just leave it here. I'm cool with whatever.
I'll see what I can conjure up. Because then at least we have like, if we did a Patreon or something, then we have like this is how we monetize it.
Yeah, I guess from a Patreon standpoint, it's like, I mean, that's also like, hey, what does the community want? What does the Patreon community want? Do they want more? Is like one map and us rambling for almost 3 hours enough? I think like one map, because you can use the map for other stuff too, right? One map's a good deal. The podcast and a D&D map, that's like a friggin' bargain for your.
Yeah, those are going for like $12, $14.
Yeah, who knows what our Patreon is that we don't have yet. I guess we don't need a website if we potentially Patreon, but that's maybe shooting the moon a bit, maybe overreaching at this point since this is pilot episode and we don't actually have an audience yet.
Yeah.
Cool.
Agreed.
Cool. I'm still in podcast voice mode. Are we done yet?
I'm pretty sure we're done.
Cool. We're done. Thanks for listening. Good night. I'm going to stop the recording so that this is over.
Okay. Good.